welcome to the Sean Geek and Fast Red podcast. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the show. This week, finally, it's happening. We've talked about maybe doing this at some point, but we've got two members of Leaderhouse in the house. And if you gentlemen could introduce yourselves, your roles in that particular band, and who you are.
Go ahead, Dusty.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Dustin Leader, I suppose one of the founding members of Leaderhouse back in the day. If someone come into your house and is like, yo, you want to start a band? When you're 16 or 17. That's how that happened.
And I'm Matt V. I'm the singer and the songwriter, one of the songwriters for the band Leaderhouse, the classic Winnipeg band Leaderhouse.
I was hoping I was going to get the that voice.
Yo, that man chime.
The man shine.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? The man shine? I like that. So
he interviewed us a few times, I think. Howard Manshine.
Oh yeah. Does anybody get a Manshine impression?
You got.
I think I could probably do it. Let me think.
Yeah.
Well, what we have here is maybe two founding members of one of Winnipeg's forefront indie pop bands, Leaderhouse.
Phenomenal.
Nice.
Phenomenal
Oh, that's
band.
good. Oh, that's great. So
Love the band, though.
So I don't know if you know why I wanted to have you both on, and my history with Leaderhouse. I don't have a history with Leaderhouse, but I've listened to the. It's one of these weird things, and people try to pigeonhole my musical taste in a particular way. People think I'm just a heavy metal guy, but my favorite album of all time is the Leaderhouse CD. It's probably the thing I've listened to the most. I've owned multiple copies, as Dustin and I were talking about, and I usually, whenever I see a copy anywhere, I usually buy them all, if it's a flea market or whatever. And then what I do is I make a list of, this person's never heard the band, a friend of mine never heard the band, they need to listen to, and I would gift it to people I thought needed to hear this album that would appreciate it. Because it's a different animal, musically speaking, genre speaking. It doesn't really fit into any category, which is why I like it. And it's what I would use before I would go do shows. I would rehearse to the album, get my vocal pipes warmed up, and then I would do a show, and it's what I use for my cool downs on the way back from, during the gig. So it's getting a lot of play in my car and in my house and all that sort of stuff. So it's been an important album. It also shapes kind of how my drumming is kind of based off of that as well, because I'm a drummer as well. So important album for me anyway. So that's my history. I kind of always never knew the history of how did the band get together? What was, like, why the four of you, and the lead up to actually recording the CD, and the impeccable quality of the recording is rather impressive for a first band for anybody. So can you guys kind of lead me up to forming the band, getting in the studio, recording the songs, writing the songs, putting them together?
I'll take a quick crack at it, but I have a first question to Dustin, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure. Did we meet first, or did Scott and I meet first? Or did you and Scott meet first?
No, you came to my house and you had the tape of you and Tyson. And you had those songs, which were like very different than anything I'd ever heard, in my life. They were like very sophisticated singer-songwriter songs. And I was like, geez, these two guys are crazy. Like, yeah, I'm in. Yeah, and then how did Scott fold in? Because I remember how Christian folded in. We saw him playing like a snare and a hi-hat at the Forks, and I think he was 14 at the time, or 13. And me and Matt were both blown away by Christian. His skill at the time was just insane. So we approached him, and from then on, he was our drummer. But Scott, how did?
I remember rehearsing at Scott's house on Lipton the three of us, and we were doing like acoustic stuff. And I actually think that Scott was playing acoustic guitar at the same time. I used to go over to his apartment, and we would just like hash out harmonies. This is pre-Christian maybe, and we hadn't even designed like the sonic idea of the band. We were just kind of throwing ideas around it. It wasn't until I think Christian came on board that, you know, everything started to amplify, so to speak, and get bigger with the sound. And I think we started rehearsing at your house, the Leader House.
Yeah,
the Leader House. Sure. Wait, is hence the name of the band?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
It was kind of an infamous party house in Charleswood. So my father had died when I was 14 and a half, and we moved to Winnipeg. And then I started going to Oak Park. My brother and I had kind of a large group of friends, and we would have these parties. So in order to not get confused, we would just say, yeah, come to the Leader House, or people would say, we're going to the Leader House for this party. So there was this kind of name floating around, and I remember Matt hearing it, and he's like, yo, why don't we name it this? And I was like, are you sure? Right? Like, that's my, you know, just my house and my name. And yeah, he loved it. So
yeah, when we used to rehearse there too, because it was such a kind of community drop-in center, there was always people lurking around, you know, sitting while we were rehearsing.
Yeah.
But always. that's where the fundamental genesis of that sound was kind of hashed out, was in the basement of the Leader House.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I've always had like a
cool.
Yeah. I've always had like a super atmospheric kind of approach to the guitar work that I did. So I think, it seeped its way into the production, and it fed into the sound. And then Matt has such a like soaring approach as well vocally that, you know, the two sounds kind of just meshed.
Oh yeah, they complement each other for sure.
Do you know about the Leaderhouse 5 era?
No, actually, no. I know nothing about Leaderhouse 5.
This is an interesting footnote in the history of Leaderhouse, because between rehearsing at the Leaderhouse, and then I rented a house with Scott on Elm Street, and there was a guy at our show who came up to us and said, I love you guys are awesome. I love this band. You know, I play the keyboards, and his name was Remy Shand. And he was like,
oh my God.
He became a very famous Canadian guy. And so and then we changed our name to Leaderhouse 5.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we were kind of more like I hate to say, but like a kind of funk sounding, like white French funk, I called it.
Like a prog funk kind of.
Yeah, it was very, like, he was such a talented guy that we couldn't help but adjust to his contributions to the band. And it wasn't
wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because he's so funky.
Yeah.
Well, he would
so good.
Yeah, he would take our songs and then reproduce them at home and then give us a version, and it would just be mind blowing. So I think we folded some of that sound in as well.
That's actually how we got the band. He did some productions for us, and he's like, well, how about this? And they were all these throwaway songs that we didn't really do, and he reproduced them, and they're amazing.
Yeah, well, like ones that ended up on the album?
Very distinct.
No. So
we had already done the album at that point.
No, we hadn't yet. So
we hadn't?
No, because what happened is that he
it's so long.
Was like not interested in the band thing. So there was he wasn't the most social person, and because a band is like basically having 4 wives, it didn't really work for him, and there was always a problem, right? So it was kind of a stressful moving forward. It's like with someone that was as talented as he was, it was like you either deal with this talent or you get rid of it, right? But he made the decision for us. He was like, I don't want to be in this band anymore. And at that point, that's when the real Leaderhouse sound came about, because we were free from, you know, this uber talent funk keyboard presence, and we just went back to our meat and potatoes, which was like songwriting and sonic soundscape. And then if he hadn't left, we wouldn't have the Leaderhouse album.
Not as it is. There's no way. No, it would have been some weird, funky, like very 70s Motown sound.
Yeah, like his
but
album.
Weirdly authentic. Like
his album. Yeah.
Yeah, very authentic. But like Leaderhouse, there was always like a great push and pull. Like that's what stands out on the album is all of our sort of distinct personalities. Because I liked Hendrix and Radiohead and big washy sort of atmospheric things. Scott like more hardcore roots. He's always been in love with Tom Waits, so it was kind of pulling us in that sort of experimental area, you know, from Scott's perspective. And then Matt, he had his own very specific thing, right? That is very Matt, from where I come from, like from my perspective. If that makes sense, man.
Yeah, it was weird because it's like I was your typical almost folk songwriter. Like I just cared about a song. I didn't care about anything else. So to have people in the band that were had such a high utility at their own skill, it took what would be a simple song and made it into this, you know, massive soundscape. And that wouldn't happen. I always compare it to like, you know, back when you're riding the bus, you know, I don't know if you ever took the bus, but if it was
Definitely.
ever raining, the window wipers always moved like independent of each other. But every now and then they would just sync up for this like blessed 10 or 15 seconds. And I think that's how we all functioned in the band. Like we got together and our window wipers weren't functioning. And then just for this blessed little period, they all synced up.
I thought I was the only person that noticed that. Because I would just watch this. Wait, it's coming.
Yeah.
And then there's also a beat to it too. Like,
Yeah.
And then we were able to squeak out that album in that period.
So that was Christian's dad that produced the album. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know anything about his dad. Like I'm familiar with him and his sister. Obviously, like they're, you know, great standouts in the music scene. But like, what was his dad doing? Was he like in bands before as well, or
he was
just a producer?
Pretty accomplished CBC like musical employee, if that makes any sense. Like he was very like he in the French community too. He did a lot of work. He was like a working musician, producer, engineer, sound guy, and he had a garage behind his house with the studio, and that was the studio that we recorded in. Mm-hmm. And it was old school. It was like
2-inch tape, the whole nine.
Yeah, there was
like
no
the razor blades and everything, like cutting the tape. Was it at that level?
Yeah, there was some cut tape, and it was like the why I considered that a lucky opportunity for us was that most people moving forward will never really get the old school experience of recording in a studio where you had to do it right. Like those takes are full takes. You know, obviously there's punch-ins here and there, but we had to get that bed track down perfect. There was no punching in, we're going to punch in the middle eight with the drums and the bass. It all had to happen. So the energy on that album was indicative of a one-take Jones when it comes to the bed tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and you can tell, like there's moments where, I don't know, in modern music, it might be considered a mistake, but for me, it's like, like this veered off a little bit here. It's not where it should have gone, but it's where it needed to go. Like, and you can hear that in the album. Like, there's great moments in there where it's like, like they went off, but I don't know, it just works. You can feel the liveness, and I don't know, that stands out. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm all about
performance. Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I always believe in the performance, like getting a performance down. Like all the punch-ins are on one track. Like it's like they punch in, you know, like on a modern DAW, you're gonna have like 20 tracks, and you're just gonna splice this and this and this right together.
Yep.
But on 2-inch, it was all on one track, so you had to get the performance down. And to this day, I'm a big believer in getting a performance down on a recording instead of like trying to perfect a section and a section and a section. Like you want to go as long as you can on a performance before you might screw up a little bit to punch back in. But the majority of the track, some of these are like 90% performance with like just a very, very few punch-ins. Some of them I think we went straight through and we didn't stop. Like each track is the performance that it is, right?
Especially with Dustin's sounds, there's no punching in when you have that epic of a trails.
Oh yeah, like how do you do that?
You don't.
Yeah.
So like one of the things with Dustin that was like I always found hilarious is that he would do something, right? And I'd be like, that's awesome. Do that there. And he'd be like, do what? That thing you just did. And of course, we'd never get it again, right?
No.
Because it was always like this massive sound that builds, right? So like when you hear the production on his guitar sound, that was like those window wipers. I mean, he came in there that if he came in there on Tuesday, it would have sounded different. If he came in on Thursday, it would have sounded different. But we managed to bottle that lightning when he came in because there's no overdubbing that type of sonic wall.
No. My gear at the time, it was like the original Echoplex. So you had to try and sync it to the beat. But if you didn't sync it to the beat, then you had to like play around the off time. And then I had literally a physical rotating speaker, and then like the 70s MXR Phase 90. So everything was very manual. It wasn't like today's effects where you can, sync it to the beat and sync it to a pitch, right? Like everything I was playing to the sound of what was coming out instead of trying to control the sound on a really like minute level. It was more like, okay, let's see where this is going to take me. And it was always like that, right?
It managed to manifest itself in our live shows because like you had to, there was no click on the Echoplex and it makes the sound. So what I think people found interesting about our live shows is that they were always different because we all understood where Dustin was trying to go with sounds, and we all knew it just doesn't take a click. So when we'd go into a solo section, we would have to wait for the engine to start rumbling in the Echoplex, and then we hit it, and it would be fantastic. But that's why every show was completely different.
I think so. I was going to say, what you're saying there. It's important to know that as a drummer, like Christian had to have an amazing sense of when that's happening. Okay, if he's just going to play 4/4 time and he's just playing a standard AC/DC beat or whatever, you can't do that. You got to be able to react, adjust, and then keep the beat. Like that's not an easy thing to do. And I'm a drummer, and my brother would go off on these soundscapes too. I'm like, I don't know where you're going, but I'd have to catch up to him and make it work. And that's not an easy thing to do. Like he's masterful at what he's putting down.
Well, think about this. He recorded that album when he was 14.
Oh my God. Wow.
He was 14. And let me tell you this. He had the the musical soul of someone in the 50s and 60s. Like there was no, like you would think that you'd have to explain to a 14-year-old, well, what we're trying to do here is great. He just understood the musical language. And not only that, like you want to talk about a proficient studio musician. Like you think about some of those drum beats in the Leaderhouse album, he was knocking those off. Like if anything, he had to do it again because Scott got it wrong. But he nailed almost everything.
Yeah. Like the bed track drums are performances. Yeah. And then we built around those, right?
From a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
That's
he
crazy.
Was phenomenal. There was never a question whether he could keep up with the beat or not, bring us back together and glue us back together live or at any time. He was absolutely phenomenal.
And inventive beats too. Like there was there's so many times you could have just 4 on the floor and be done, but no, there was always like the little things he's doing off the hi-hat that don't normally fit. And it's like, I don't know. I'm a big fan. Like after Leaderhouse was done, where is this guy playing? I would watch him play with Rudimental with his sister, and then various other things afterwards. Like this guy is like, I don't know. He's an amazing drummer.
Yeah, he's a good songwriter too, and he was a great singer. He is a great singer. He was deaf in one ear, so it'll when you see, like, I always call them shitty singers. They'll be on stage going
Yeah.
with their making, like, but he actually had that, so he only could hear out of one ear, but he has great pitch too.
I call it the Professor X.
Nice.
What are you doing? Are you reading my mind? I apologize. My kids are close by. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but
Not at all. No.
I think they're having an argument, to be honest.
Oh, can't hear it at all.
Oh yeah, that's good. One of the things I was going to say, like, I'm kind of getting caught up on the piano money, Bitcoin stuff that you're doing, and I like that you were playing with your kid too. Like, I saw that, and I'm a dad first, and
Yeah.
everything else second. And
Me
I
too.
see that, and I was talking to Alfie, Catlico, and same thing with him and his kid. And I see that stuff, and it melts me. Both my kids play music. They've been in music since one was 4 and one was 6.
How old are they now?
Guitar and piano, and I don't know, man. It's the greatest joy. Like, what was it like with your kid?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Sean, but I recorded an album with him when he was 4 called.
I discovered that yesterday. I got to go find this thing.
It's called All the Bubbles in the World. And the reason why I look back at it now in more awe than when I was is because as a musician who understands music now, I just think I always knew, but when I really think back, like, I didn't know how to sing for, probably the first 35 years of my life, right? So when I was playing with Duke, and how that happened was I was, playing around with ideas that he would say, little funny things, and I would write these songs, and then I would hear him sing it perfectly, right? So then I thought, I'm going to make a little children's album here. And then when I was singing certain songs, it's like, it just doesn't sound right with, like, my big dad voice, right? And meanwhile, he's singing it in the background. So I would say, hey, yeah, why don't you try singing the song, Duke? So that he's 4, and he's sitting on my lap in headphones. And so there's a bunch of type of singers, right? There's like the sing in your car, karaoke singer,
Yep.
live singer, and then studio singer. And studio singer is the hardest because maybe not now, but back in the day, I'm a traditionalist. It's like, if you can sing in the studio, you're an accomplished singer. But now there's a lot of tools. But so he sits on my lap, and we're talking 1 or 2 takes. He's hitting the song in the beat, in perfect pitch. Like, he doesn't have perfect pitch, but he's got like razor pitch, and I just couldn't believe it. So it's like, well, he should be in this album more than me. So he ended up being in 3 songs, I think.
That's adorable.
So is that available somewhere?
Yeah, it's on my website, pianomattib.com. If you just scroll down, you'll see all, like, I have my whole everything I've ever recorded on that website.
Oh,
it's
crap!
all for free. Yeah,
I didn't even know it was on. Okay, I got to go look for that. Another thing I want to touch on Dustin too, because I just found out this week, which I have no idea why. Well, no, I figured out yesterday why. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. This is like one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite albums of all time.
No way.
I've played it. I've played it on the show too many times, and I've pushed it on people so many times. But in the credits, the guitar player is listed as Dustin. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't know
reflected
this was
that.
you. And then I'm like, are you? Well, of course it's you, because the soundscape of that is like, well, of course. But holy shit, yeah, like, wow. And I was talking to Sam from Witch Police Radio. I don't know if you guys know that podcast. He and I are good friends, and he's a big proponent of Projector. He always has been, and we've told Projector stories back and forth. Oh, remember this song? Remember that song? And talked about it. And Projector, the other 2, can't remember their names now. The other 2 guys have been on his show, and he and I never put it together, because I gave a Leaderhouse CD to Sam and said, you got to listen to this. Like, these guys are great. And neither one of us put it together. That was you.
That's funny. Well, I guess all I can say is you can see the influence, that it's just a natural thing. Like, I can't really help to do what I was doing, which is like really big soundscape. The thing about the Echoplex is I used it as a preamp also because it has such just huge round notes, like the sound that comes out of it.
Mhm.
And then I was listening. I think the thing about our generation is we listen to long songs. Like if you listen to some
Yeah,
of those Pink album or the Pink Floyd albums, they're long songs compared to
sure.
these days, right? So it wasn't a stretch in those days to make these huge productions out of just simple ideas, right? And I think in Leaderhouse and in Projector, we just each band leaned that way to make these like sort of epics, right?
Yeah, that's great. Are you familiar, Matt, with Projector?
Oh yeah, yeah. What was the singer's name again? He was in another band before
Jamil.
Projector.
Jamil.
Emil?
In
Yeah.
Kittens, he was
Kittens,
he was in
right?
Kittens.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kittens. You see, like I always think that in another timeline, Winnipeg in the late '90s could have been like the Seattle scene, times 10. There was
Oh,
so much talent.
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's what I
Just
sell on our
lads
show all the
bands.
time.
Oh,
Yeah, like I don't care what anybody says. I think the music scene in Winnipeg is phenomenal. The talent out of this city is phenomenal. Like this is
yeah,
this is the place, and I'm always pushing. Whenever we're talking to international audience, they're like Winnipeg. Where the hell's that? You should know where it is because if you want to hear good music, this is where it's at. Like it's
yeah.
Yeah.
phenomenal, and it's particularly during that period when Leaderhouse was a thing. Um, uh, I think he's a friend of yours, Mike Webster. Do you guys remember that guy?
Yep,
Oh yeah,
web slinger.
And
yeah.
yeah, so I was I was he was in a band called Bliss, which later became Gin Taxi. I used to
Did he
work with
drive for us?
what's that?
Matt, did he drive for us for a bit?
No, that's Jeff.
Yeah, but we had a different driver before Jeff, didn't we?
I don't think so.
I thought he joined us for like a couple tours. Maybe not. Okay. Sorry.
But yeah, so they were always telling me about you guys. Like that band was always telling me about you guys because I was friends with Ray, who played guitar and sang in that band, and he kept
Hmm.
saying, "Oh man, you got to hear Leaderhouse." I'm like, "Who the hell's that?" And so he kept because there was kind of I think you guys were all playing kind of in and around the same time. And he was like, "You got to hear these guys. You got to hear these guys." So eventually, in the first thing, he gave me this, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll take a listen, see what." And I'm like, "Oh shit, this is good." And then he kept saying, talking you guys up, but I never got a chance to see you guys play, which is, you know,
Really? Oh,
never got a chance. I
no.
did see Matt play at, I think it was the Zoo, singing for Volume,
Yeah.
and I went to that show. I'm trying to remember now because I think it was the Zoo or maybe it was Ozzy's in the basement or whatever. And I'm like, I was expecting Lee to sing, and I'm like, oh, who's this guy? Wait a minute, this isn't Lee. And then I was confused, but then that's when I kind of came back around to listening to Leaderhouse because you got a good voice, like you sound good. You're emotive when you sing. You're not just cashing it. You're calling it in. And I'm
Mhm.
like, so that's when I started coming back to Leaderhouse, and then I listened to Vanderveen after that, and the Blackout City Kids, and all that sort of stuff. And we had Lee on the show. We kind of talked about it a bit, but I was kind of curious how you ended up there in Volume. Like, what was because was it Leaderhouse and then Volume?
Yeah, it was Leaderhouse, Volume, and then Vanderveen. They kind of
Vanderveen.
Volume and Vanderveen kind of were crossing each other. Like one
Okay.
ended, one beginning. But Volume, I think I was called by, was it Alfie?
Alfie, yeah, the guitar player.
But it was proposed to me as a concept band. Like Chris, who was the drummer,
Emery, yeah.
Chris Emery, he's like a big ideas guy, right?
Oh yeah.
So he had this idea that it was going to be, the greatest band ever, right? It's Led
That
Zeppelin
sounds about
meets
right.
Pink Floyd meets something else, Frank Zappa, all this stuff. And at the time, I don't think I was actually doing anything except for like miscellaneously writing songs. Like I didn't have a
Right.
band. I think Dustin might have been in Projector as like working in Projector at that time. So I was like, yeah, well, let's give it a shot. And when I went to rehearse there, Sky Onison from the
Yep.
Meanies
Yep.
was the bass player. And so,
So okay, good, because I was like, wasn't Sky in that band for 5 seconds? And I thought, okay, so you just confirmed. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he was in my era of the band. So there was many epochs of Volume, but my epoch had Sky. And so for me, rehearsing with Sky was like me rehearsing with the greatest bass player I've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
So he was so amazing that like he soloed through every song, but it was perfect, tasty notes, and you never even noticed it, right? He was busy, but he just laid it down, and so I was just excited to play with Sky, and then of course Alfie Catalico was just this monster kind of 80s guitar god, right? And then so that was exciting to me, and then with Chris, because I'm coming from Christian, who was the drummer for Leaderhouse, and then we had a couple of other drummers tailing off to kind of come in as touring drummers, so they weren't like what I'd call the meat and potatoes drummer. It was more like just not a hired gun, because they were kind of part of the band and they had to do a lot of the grunt work that we did. But so he was my first drummer outside of a collaborative drummer like Christian, and he was so unique. Like the drumming on the Volume album is again One Take Jones. Like he's
really.
Oh yeah, he's like his setup is a kitchen chair for a stool,
nice,
a kick drum, a snare drum, and a crash, and then one tom.
Yeah. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And it's not like he's where's the other stuff? That's it.
That's
so
all
every
he
time
needs.
you hear any of the high end, like it's a crash, right?
Yeah.
He's got a hi hat and everything. But it was such an epic soundscape too, so it was easy for me to be seduced by the history of the band, because it was kind of right up. It was a band that Dustin could have walked into and just immediate click too. Like it was all about big sounds and good
Dustin
writing.
and Alfie, can you imagine a 2-guitar band with the two of you?
Epic.
Jesus God, that'd be so awesome. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm Volume.
I've never got to play with Alfie. I would love to.
Oh,
he was like
guy.
a demon, because like he's such a nice guy, and he's so kind of quiet and quirky and funny. Yep. And then you say, "Oh, all right, let's hit the stage," and he becomes like I've never seen anyone transform on stage like Alfie. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And he was in Dirtbeak before, and Dirtbeak was a phenomenal band too. Like, they're great. And he had Hospital afterwards, which is pretty darn cool. Great guy. I got to get him back on. The interview I did with him was like probably the best time I ever had. It was just great. He's such a good guy. And tasteful though, because he also did collaborations with Janine Gobet, and that's completely subdued stuff.
Like, he could play
totally
anything.
works. Yeah.
He was like, we would always laugh at his solos, because like they were like, it was like Dusty too. Like there wasn't, you had to bottle it when it happened. And when we look back on some, like if you look at the song Inventions on the Volume album, it's like you can sing his solo. Like if you listen to a couple times, it's like very repetitive, big notes, happening, and then like establishing this narrative of his solo, then coming back to it. It's all little stories, and like he wasn't like trying. It was just the way he played guitar and framed solo was just incredible.
So I was like when I talked to Lee, we interviewed Lee like a number of years ago and kind of tried to get the history of Volume and kind of get all that together. And then we were talking about you being in the band, and then he kept saying, well, there was an album that was never released. There was an album that was never released. And then I found it on your YouTube page. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
The awesome. Forbidden Album, it's called.
The Forbidden Album,
yeah.
It's great. It was a lot of fun, because more Alfie's always a good thing. I wanted more Alfie, and there it was, good stuff. Was there ever a plan to release that?
Yeah, there was. Stuff got weird, at the end of that band, because it was another window wipers band. Like the cast of characters in that band were so unique. So you had Chris Emery, who was like the Clodhopper King. You remember his candy, Clodhoppers?
Yeah, he was Clodhoppers, and OMGs after that.
And then Sky like arguably maybe the best bass player to ever come out of Winnipeg, Alfie Catalico. And then to top it all off, there was a keyboard player named Bob. And he was
Bob is awesome.
He was from Chocolate Bunnies from Hell.
Yeah.
No way.
Keyboard player, yeah.
And he was such a unique keyboard player because he played the piano and the keyboards like who's the guitar player for U2? The Edge.
At the Edge, yeah.
So it was big, important notes. Yeah. And so he would just like, if he had a solo, he would just be like, "Can you hear the piano?"
Yeah.
So he would just be like, if it was like in this key, he would just be
softly? Like, "Oh, it's cutting out. Just play that."
Okay, I won't do it then.
Yeah, okay.
He would just hit like a couple notes, and they were like such important notes, and the patience and the discipline for him to build a solo around like a few notes was just incredible.
Well, when they did their the Amazing Spider-Man album, like, that's all Bob. Like it's Bob all over there. It's just these big, just like and that with Alfie playing over top of these like orchestral big piano chords is like, oh my God, it's brilliant.
That album itself, the Amazing Spider-Man, was one of the reasons why I joined too, because it's like I just want to play some of these tunes on it because they were so epic, right? Yeah. And they almost inked a deal with Stan, who's Chris Lee went down and met with Stan Lee and talked with Stan.
They met with a composer, Ray. Oh my God, I can't remember his last name. He lived in California. He's the guy that wrote all the music for the Spider-Man cartoon. So they flew down. I got the story from Lisa. They flew down to meet with him to kind of get his blessing, and they did. And then they did the album, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, we
out of Winnipeg.
If you came to that zoo show, we did a couple Spider-Man songs.
Yeah, you did.
And they were so fun to play. They were just so epic. And then during the end of it, or my epoch, it was just, we had this amazing show in Toronto. And so it was kind of off the back of the Leaderhouse lore. So there was a lot of the record people that came to see the Leaderhouse shows, came to see, my new band per se. And I thought that band would be Canada's biggest rock band ever. Because it just had everything that an amazing, weird band ever needed. Yep. And it just kind of fell off the rails at the last second. Like within like overnight, it was just kind of over. And that's why it was called the Forbidden Album, because we had recorded it, and actually Lee did some production on it, maybe half of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then it just kind of got shelved. But I was always such a fan of it that I'm like, I'm gonna put this out, Forbidden Albums. You can get it on my website. Forbidden
it's all
Album.
on there.
And I also wanted to add, if you go to the website and you see the Leaderhouse album, it's called Special Edition.
Yes.
And at the bottom, you'll hear the $50 solo or something. So this guy would come to the Blue Note and ask us to play GD6 with the $50 solo. Like he'd give us $50 for Dusty to do this epic solo. You can imagine, when you're that age, no job, $50. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. There's this guy sitting in front, and then he was like just chirping every now and then, and he's like, "I'll give you $50 if you play like the best solo I've ever heard in my life," he said. And I'm like, "You're on, man. Let's go." And
we just happened to be recording
played it,
too.
And he just like literally laid it on the stage. He's like, "Here you go." I was like, "Damn."
Oh,
that one I actually vividly remember it because you could still smoke at the time in there,
and that was the Blue Note you said, right? The Blue Note,
yeah. And I remember the show being like we were all clicked in and everything was just jiving. Matt, what do you think? I don't think we ever captured the live Leaderhouse sound properly on the album. Like live, it was pretty big. Like the sound was heavy and big, and on the album is a bit more Steely Dan, where it's tightened up and compressed. But what are your thoughts?
Well, when he was saying that Gin Taxi, the guys from Gin Taxi and Bliss were talking about us, what most people don't understand is that Leaderhouse existed in a vacuum. Like we didn't have the people in the music industry loving us. like the community. People weren't like coming up to us and saying, "Yeah, I love Leaderhouse." In fact, there was a lot of haters, right? It felt like we were going up against the stream. And so when we would play
you got to go into detail here because I got to understand that side of things.
Well, so like you telling me that the guys from Bliss would say, "Oh, you got to hear this band."
Oh yeah.
So
right.
I lived with one of the guys from Bliss in the house that we rehearsed in with Leaderhouse, and they never said anything good about the band. In fact,
they were a rivalry. Like the feeling on the streets was more like weird little rivalries of these people that I had never met them. And there was a couple other bands that were getting big at the time, and it was more like, oh yeah, those guys they just do that rock thing. They're kind of silly audio. They're not, I don't know, not honest, but yeah, just more corporate, more consumery. And we were just doing our thing that came out of our heads. There was no thought to make certain hits or anything. And if anything, a lot of the like music industry, like Matt is saying, is that we were too different we were too diverse, and they couldn't find something to attach to and say, oh yeah, we could market and sell this in a pretty low box, right?
So was there talk then of like was there ever a label that came, that kind of came and get the new meanies or whatever, and then was there discussions or talks or?
Yeah, there was always record label talks. There was always record labels at the showcases we would do. Nearing the end, we were like pseudo managed by Ralph James at the agency group, and like a lot of his advice was, who cares about Canadian record deals? They're nothing. Then he'd say, look at this guy, or who cares about that, right? Well, wait, if a Canadian record deal wants you, an American will probably want you more. And then,
I remember Ralph James saying, I remember Ralph James saying, like, you hear things, we were hearing things like, I haven't seen anything like this since the Tragically Hip, Ralph James would tell us, and we were like, holy crap, okay.
Yeah.
Like there was some serious interest. But a lot of the feedback was, you guys are too diverse. And the thing is, we didn't get to make a second album, and the second album would have been much more focused, I think. The first album had a really, young perspective to it, where we were all just like jamming all of our influences in, and we were kind of all like, we never really argued about it, but it was definitely, there's a bit of tension about like this style and that style, and does it fit, and it.
Yeah, it would only happen with our naivety too. Like as we got older, we probably would have like more battled about direction, but because we were so young when we did it, we just were like having the time of our lives. But like the accolades from Ralph James in the industry, which we did get, was always like bizarre to us because there was a lot of haters in Winnipeg. People not the most support. We had a lot of amazing fans. But like when we were doing those, those shows with the epic solos and stuff, it was a kind of in a vacuum,
Yeah, for sure. Oh, we did have like a very good following and very loyal fans. Like absolutely, we could. Near the end, we were packing venues, and they were all hardcore fans. Like, if you didn't like us, you didn't like us. That's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that Ray was saying was like that you guys were just too good, and I think it wasn't from what he was saying, it wasn't so much of a rivalry, but more like how do we step up our game? Because I know that they went and recorded with Brandon Friesen.
Friesen, yeah.
Which I think.
The Projector album was with Brandon.
Projector album was Brandon Friesen. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So was Vanderveen.
Yeah. So they were working with him too. But so I have a question for you, because this came up. This came up on the show a bunch of times. We've talked about the Meanies a gazillion times on the show, and we've talked about Bliss or Gin Taxi on the show a bunch of times. And the one thing that always came up was that, okay, we're going to go in the studio with an acclaimed producer, and we're going to record our album, and very often the producer is going to say, this doesn't work, you guys got to stop doing this, you guys got to stop doing this. with Gin Taxi or Bliss. No, one singer, that's it. Only one singer allowed on the album. So
Wow.
they picked a singer, and then they all had one singer. They used to be three singers. It was Mike, Justin, and Ray that sang. So then it's down to one. Well, you guys can't do these types of songs anymore. They got to be piano driven. They can't really be guitar driven anymore. So they changed the sound. There's a lot of changes they did. And I know with the Meanies, it was the same thing too, because there's not just one singer in that band either. So they had to tailor their sound to what Virgin wanted and kind of pull back. And they're like, well, this will make you a hit. But was there any, like, if you guys were going to do a second one, was there talk of like, okay, we got to stop? Like, there's certain things you just can't do anymore that you guys like doing?
I don't think so. I think we're we're doubling down in a weird way. I mean, the songwriting styles change, and we were kind of rolling with the punches, but there was never like, we should do this in order to get that. I think we learned a lesson from the Meanies because that was an example of the music industry trying to turn something amazing into something marketable, and I don't think it worked. So, like, if they would have came out and captured, like, Bottle the Lightning of the new Meanies or the Blue Meanies, or whatever, like what they did best, they would to this day be like a legendary Canadian band. But they put them in with songwriters. Like, I know one of their cousins, the drummer's cousin, Rod Hussey, was working with them as a songwriter and kind of just mellowed out, like rounded out maybe the harsh aspects, but it took it into a direction that I think ultimately didn't work for them. Yeah. So I don't think anyone, even like the Leaderhouse, we had a bunch of contentious moments producing the Leaderhouse album because Norm was, I think he was labeled as a producer, but I always thought that I did most of the production as far as like the idea of the song going, and he was kind of like the skilled engineer. But there was some times, and I don't think most people know this obviously, but there was a lyric in the Elephant song called "I've never tried killing, but I'll give it a try." And it was just some random lyric. It just really didn't mean anything. It just kind of rhymed with a bunch of the stuff. If you know the
pentameter made sense. I definitely know it.
Yeah, and so when the album was canned, we had done everything, and then Norm said, "I'm not releasing the album until you take killing off. I don't want the word killing."
His 14-year, he didn't want his 14-year-old son to be on an album where they were going to use killing in any context.
Yeah.
Wow.
Meanwhile, he's smoking joints and drinking beer every night. But so what we did was, like, us coming from the school of no one tells us what to do, kind of rock and roll 101, we ended up changing the word, punching it in. And when you listen to it, if you go back and listen to it, you will hear that he didn't match the compression. You know, it was a new day. But I switched it to Dylan. But it sounds like killing. So never tried Dylan, but I'll give it a try.
Yeah,
but you can tell the punch-in isn't perfect and the compression is off, right?
Yeah.
So
I noticed that because it's like, why is it so? It sounds mumbly at that point, and I was like, well, I listened to try to make it. I was like, I don't understand, but now it makes sense. Now I know the story.
He wasn't going to release it. He wasn't going to give us the masters to get it printed unless we switch that.
Yeah, I think we had to fight for a lot of the rawness in our sound that he wanted to, like, Steely Dan out, because his idols were like Steely Dan. And I remember at the time being like, please don't make it that perfect. Like, I like it. At the time, I was obsessed with OK Computer, and the drums on that they're pretty crunchy and punchy. Yep. Like I was like, yo, can we make it sound like this, like big, and and it sort of got tamed down a bit. He did a great job though in the end. But
I mean, it doesn't sound. It sounds like it's off of like a major record label. Like, the sound quality is phenomenal. When I saw
a professional engineer.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
he had played keyboard he played keyboard in like a bunch of 70s prog rocks. So he
played on this album as well, right? He played Moog. Was it Moog on this album? Right? Or
he played the solo in On a Bender.
On a Bender, okay.
Yeah.
But in Ordinary Life, or is it called Vanderveen, right? What is it named on the album?
It's called Vanderveen, yeah.
That's Sky Onison playing the organ in that.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah,
he
actually,
did the
yeah,
organ
he's
in
right in the
Missing
notes here.
Minutes.
Sky Emerson plays Hammond organ on Vanderveen. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, Norm
God.
was an extremely talented engineer, and the reason why the sound of the album, 25 years later stands the test of time is because of him and his expertise.
So it also said, but it said like Norm played on Radiation, Elephant Song on the Bender, and Today It's Over. Is that accurate? Right.
No, I think Sky was Elephant Song.
Really? Who was Radiation?
Yeah, I think he was Radiation.
Okay, because it's Hammond, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hammond organ. Yeah.
He had a revolving Leslie in the studio as well. So.
Yeah, I really like the organ sound on that album. Because I mean, I'm big on 70s funk, like hardcore 70s funk, James Brown, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love the sound of that. And I think the album doesn't sound like everyone else out there. It's like when it came out, it's like, well, this doesn't fit. I can see people saying this doesn't fit in. Like, how do I package this with another band, to have three bands together playing a show? Like this band, like it, but to me, I think the album stands the test of time. I can listen to it now and still, like, it doesn't sound dated at all. But maybe at the time it sounded too broad and not of the time. But I don't know, like, I still listen to this album regularly. Like,
it asks a lot of the listener.
Absolutely. There was no discussion about like making hits, as far as I know. Hey, Matt, we were just like, these are Matt's songs and they're blowing our minds, and then we would put stuff to them. But there was never like, okay, guys, we gotta make our breakthrough. It was more like, fuck everybody else. We have a sound and we have influences, and we're confident in what we were doing. And
that goes back to the naivety, because like we didn't, none of us thought that there was a hit on the album, nor did we care. And then as the album progressed, we kind of thought that the Elephant Song might have been a hit because it was like the most danceable at our live shows.
Yeah.
And then Vanderveen ended up being like the song that everyone thought would make the band.
If you want to hear something funny about Elephant Song, there was a period where I was going to a lot of raves and stuff, and then we always had this kind of party before we would go out. One of the songs I always played was Elephant Song to get us hyped up to go to the rave afterward. It's like, I don't know why, but everyone in the room just, that's the Elephant Song. And everybody get all excited. Yeah. We'd all kind of, get suited up and head out. And that was the song. And I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but it is danceable.
It brought people on the floor live. Like every time we played it, it would clear for like GD6 and then Elephant Song. Everybody would come back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Full circle here. The lyrics to Elephant Song were from Tyson, who Dustin was talking about. Him and I used to write songs like in high school. His lyric, that was like a bunch of lyrics that he didn't have to a song. He's actually credited on the album, the SoCan, as the lyricist.
Yeah. Sean, I'm telling you, there's somewhere, I don't know if you have it, Matt.
I don't.
Somewhere there's, Allison might have it. I might have it. There is a tape of Matt and Tyson's, I don't know how many songs, 4 or 5 songs on it. And they're still stuck in my head to this day because there's nothing like them. And I wish I could find it. And like a lot of times I think, you know what, if Matt hadn't even been in Leaderhouse and him and Tyson had just gone and done this thing, it would have been huge because there was nothing like it. Like they're like very, they didn't sound like Harry Chapin or any of those like 70s songwriters, but like that was kind of the approach on these songs, and very sophisticated, like for his age and the time, like extremely sophisticated.
Were you guys all under
Red,
20?
I still remember it.
Were you guys all like 20 when Leaderhouse hit ish?
Yeah.
Or
when we recorded, I think we're 20.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you were writing with Tyson, that was years before that. So you would have been teenagers.
16, 17.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. 16, 17-year-olds writing the Elephant Song lyrics. Like incredible.
But that was the weird part too about us in the music scene, is that so we were competing against a different type style of music. So the fact that we were kind of heavy into songwriting and sonic soundscapes made us a little bit of a outlier, I suppose. So it was hard to fit in. And the only reason I think we did fit in is that we kind of knew the Meanies. You know, the Meanies would take us on the road every now and then, and we would open up for them. And that was like, it's, when you think back, it was probably a great show to watch, but it's definitely not adjacent music.
No. And those guys were good too. They were very, like, they gave of themselves all the time to help other bands out all the time. Like, it was ridiculous how much they did that. And it was, I don't know. I always felt that, like, they should have been one. Like, they get signed to a record deal finally. You know, finally, it's not another Toronto band, or it's not. You know, it's actually a band from our town or city, I guess. And I don't feel the label got behind them properly. Like, this should have been like the biggest band since like the Guess Who or something. You know, and I don't know. I feel like everyone else fumbled the ball for them.
The sound should have been like Rage Against the Machine. It should have been massive, but they tried to sort of, you know, make it shiny pop. Yeah. And also at the time, you know, we'll end up into this. It's like the boy bands started taking over and grunge was kind of waning. And there was like a really heavy lean on every band to come up with this sort of new pared down, grungy, shiny pop sound to compete with all these boy bands that were coming up. And the rawness that the Meanies had just it wasn't put down on tape.
There was like a Matchbox 20, like those types of bands around that time. And maybe they were trying to put them into that box. I could see that, but that's, I mean, live, like I'm sure you've both seen them live many times. The energy, you can't. Yeah.
We had personal relationships with them. I can tell you a really funny guitar story. When I was like maybe almost 16, I had a friend Joe, and Joe was friends with Damo, and Damon came over to my house and we just jammed, and I was fucking horrible. And I remember being like, oh my God, I got to step up my game. So for like the next 6 months, I just went like grinded on guitar hours and hours a day. And then so like the next time me and Damon jammed, I could like keep up with these guys. Right. So there was a lot of trade-offs on influence and to this day, one note from Damon, man, and you're like, oh my God, this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he can just hit one note and you're like, damn, son.
Here's an interesting story about Damon. This goes back to the notion that it's all in the fingers. We did a triple bill, us, Wide Mouth Mason, and the Meanies. And so it was the Wide Mouth set with Sean Varro, who's also a legendary blues guitarist. Like him and Damon, like they should be in the top 10 of like crazy blues guitarists. But Sean Varro was ripping a solo, and he asked Damon to come up, and Damon came up, took his guitar, didn't do anything, just strapped it on and started ripping a solo, and the entire tone of the guitar and setup was Damon Mitchell. Mm-hmm. You know, he didn't dial anything in back in the amp. It's just his fingers. It was amazing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember picking up one of his guitars once. I was playing 11s, 11 gauge on them, and he had 12s, I think. And the tension on his guitar, I was like, how the F do you play this, Damon? Like, I had to play a solo during this, whatever it was at I think at some club. And I could barely get through it because by the end of it, my hand was cramping up. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's guitar.
Do you remember the show that the Meanies did when they were called 4B in the drama room of Oak Park? Were you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. These guys like rocked the high school drama room like to the floor when they were like 15, 16. It was unreal. It was obvious. It was like thinking back, I don't know anybody that talented, you know, in my kids' circles. Like it's such a rare thing. But when we were 16, you just saw it and you're like, oh yeah, crazy. That band was cool. You have no idea that you just saw like some, like maybe in Canada, there's maybe 20 people that could have done it at the time. And you just happened to see like these 4 kids just murder it, right?
That was almost like the genesis of my fork in the road when I saw them play in the drama room, because it was like when they were rocking out, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then they took out acoustic guitar and they sang Knock, Knock, Knocking on Heaven's Door. And I was like, oh, shit, I got to do this now. I got to do this. And that was it.
But like, if you look back on your life, like, just seeing someone that brings it, you have to bring it, right? If you're not on stage and you're not like 110% in, and just like you lose it, we could have been like a soft band. We could have been a band that just kind of like, oh yeah, this is what people want, where when we saw the Meanies, we're like, fuck man, they give it all to them, right?
Yeah.
When I moved to Winnipeg, I moved here in, I can't remember, 87, 88, 89, somewhere thereabouts. And everyone was like, the people I met, they were like bragging about the Winnipeg scene. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm from, as I say, Bohunk, New Brunswick. And I come here, and I mean, everything there is fiddle and Acadian music, which has got a Celtic flair to it. And I was walking on the same street as the Pyramid Cabaret, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go walk around Winnipeg by myself, and I'm going to go where my feet take me. And I heard Damon playing, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I start walking towards the venue and walk in. That was the first Winnipeg band I heard on my first night here. Like, I gotta see who, and I was like, that's the Winnipeg sound.
Wow. That's the Charleswood sound.
The
Charleswood sound.
Like, really, the rest of the bands in the city, they were more like AC/DC is, more like like Matchbox 20, more Blur, or more like it's kind of like lyrics that weren't crazy deep, but more just kind of cock rock lyrics.
Yeah.
But Charleswood had this like insane, heavy, dirty SRV Hendrix kind of like energy to it. And then you had Matt coming up with these intricate songs, right? And even some of demos are like, they're not just normal lyrics.
No.
Like, there was a lot of thought put into them, and they're very literal literature,
Yeah.
Well, think about this. Like, this is Charleswood, right? Think about the guitar players that came out of Charleswood. So first, you have Damon Mitchell, unbelievable. There's also Pat Wright. Remember Pat Wright?
Pat Wright, yeah.
He's from Charleswood, and he was arguably, as good as anyone out there. And there was also bent out of shape Chris Ladd. Chris Ladd, who was a monster guitar player.
These are all Charleswood?
All Charleswood, yeah.
Oh my God.
Not only that, all Westdale. So Charleswood is like, encompasses the whole area, but then there's this little armpit called Westdale. Everyone was from there.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And then throw Dusty in the mix there. So you had Dustin Leader, Pat Wright, Chris Ladd, Damon Mitchell. Was Alfie from Charleswood? No, he wasn't. I think he's from the Mapes.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
That band Rhymes with Orange, what was his name? He was phenomenal too. I feel really bad for not remembering his name. He was a great guitar player. Again, Charleswood, I believe.
You know what? Rhymes with Orange, when Bliss went in to record their album, they said, you guys need to sound more like them. That was the specific instruction they had. Wow. You have to sound more like them.
Interesting. And, so Brendan Friesen never, like with Projector, he just recorded what we did.
Really?
There wasn't a lot of like, change this, change that, do this, do that. There was maybe like, hey, you want to try a harmony? You want to try a harmony? And a lot of layering of stuff to get to get a Brendan Fraser sound. But there wasn't a lot of like, he wasn't in our business much.
That's great. Yeah, because I know I had arguments with Ray, like when they went and did Gin Taxi, and I'm like, I don't know how to say this nice.
Yeah.
But I said, like, I feel like you guys kind of got neutered a bit. Like, you guys used to have this high energy, and now you're you were up here, and then you kind of came down. I mean, the songs are still good songs. Don't get me wrong, but let's take the guitar solo off this one, or less guitar. I don't think always makes for better. I like organ, I like piano. Don't get me wrong, but when you just take the guitar out completely, I'm like, I don't know. I like my guitar.
Down to the performance, you have to get the performance down on tape, and it has to have a certain energy. You could do a song 20 times that day. There's going to be one that has a certain energy and a performance. Right. And you have to build off that. You can't just go, okay, you guys got a pretty good take. Let's build off that take and then layer and layer and layer. Because then you're just kind of layering off of like an incomplete energy and an incomplete sound that doesn't represent the band, right? And
it's just like a track to track to track thing, right? Like everyone's just doing a track at a time. It doesn't sound like a band playing together.
Right.
know?
But if, like what I was saying before, if like the bed tracks for the Leaderhouse album were performances, and they were good performances, and that's why it sounds like it does.
Yeah. All right, I've kept you guys for an hour. I could go on for a bit more, but I've already gotten through.
Matt, how are you?
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Oh, okay.
I got an empty house here.
No worries. No worries.
Well, so do I, actually. This never happens.
Yo, I got 3 kids at home, but they're being quiet. So one's out.
Yeah. How did you manage that?
Somehow.
So getting back to the whole dad aspect of it, like as I always say, like if Leaderhouse would have succeeded, I wouldn't have my son, and Dustin wouldn't have his kids.
Our life would have been so different.
Yeah.
And we didn't really talk about how it ended. It just kind of fizzled out. I think looking back, we were just impatient, really. I don't know if all of the band would have been able to stick together, but I think the way Matt and I worked together, it could have continued, and it would have maintained a lot of the sound. Matt and I used to go do like solo shows together.
Okay,
we did one in Regina. I remember that. And it was just like, it was just the guitar and Matt on acoustic, and it was still the same thing. I remember speaking with Matt about like, are we missing? Like, do you think we represented the sound well? And I remember it being like pretty full, and it was there. So like Matt and me's musical relationship, it has a certain outcome.
Yeah.
So what are you saying? I was just going to say, you guys going to do something else?
We always talk about it.
Any day, man.
Sorry, Matt. Go back to what you were going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say the way it fizzled out was just the window wipers started to unsync themselves. And then at some point, people just start doing other things. You get older. And
you think you're so old too, right? We were so young. That's the funny part, right?
I actually thought to a certain degree when Leaderhouse fizzled that was kind of it. And then little did I know, I'd spend the rest of my life doing music.
Amazing. Yeah. I do remember Matt saying at the time, like, oh, if, it's probably going to take us 2 or 3 years longer. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait that long, right? I was just impatient.
Well, you guys are also young too. It's like, at that age, I want everything now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we never got to make a second album, which was really unfortunate because the sound had changed quite a bit. And I don't know, we had at least another 10 songs in rotation that we were like getting, I think we were also naive in that we were waiting for our break to like put these songs down, and we didn't want to go with another, not that Norm's a complete amateur. He's not at all. He's in the scene. He's, everybody knows who Norm is in the recording scene. But I think we were holding out for this major label thing. And at the same time, boy bands were coming in, and it was just crushing everything. And it was crushing A&R. It was crushing development of like bands that used to get chances because labels could hear something in it, but they would, they were willing to take like a 5-year chance on them. It wasn't happening anymore.
Oh, yeah, no.
Right? Which sucks because we transitioned from like 1993-ish, when we got together in 94, into this, hyper pop environment that we were just kind of getting lost in it, at the time. Where I think if a label had picked us up and really developed us, it could have been a monster, and I think it would have been a monster, but it just didn't happen, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of like label blowing smoke up our asses that kind of kept us thinking, well, we'll just, it's just a matter of time, right? And then the train moves on.
Yeah, we did turn down that indie one out of Calgary because we wanted like a more major label. And weren't they offering us quite a bit of money even at the time? We were like, no, we want major.
Yeah, we didn't even know what we didn't know back then, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We got the world by the balls. No, we're holding out.
I always tell Duke, when stories come up about music, is like what we did as a band touring Canada I just don't think it's ever going to happen again. So, like, remember when you were walking down the street going, I'm going to check out this Winnipeg scene. Imagine if you walked in and saw Leaderhouse, then Wide Mouth Mason, then the New Meanies. I mean, that'll never happen again.
No.
I don't know if there's bands even out there.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of, so like the Park Theater, it's billed quite a bit, but they're like metal bands. There's like a huge metal scene right now, but there isn't like a huge
metal is big right
singer-songwriting
now.
scene. Yeah. Like, I think the problem with singer-songwriters, they all went to country. Like soft rock went country, hard rock went country,
Good point.
medium rock went country.
Right.
And there's very little in between. And even the stuff that's coming out on the, like, it's kind of like, you know, that band Sam Fender. I like the band. I like the music a lot, but it's very polished. It's very kind of, I don't know, shiny. It's the rawness of, like, you know, like a band like Blur or something. It's just not happening, right?
No.
Well, I have this concept called the disease is the cure, right? And so what my theory that's going to happen is that AI is going to come up with some non-human-esque sounds. So, for instance, when you hear like the soul covers from AI, I think they're pretty awesome the way they kind of switch things. So my theory is that it's going to inspire humans, like the younger generation. They're going to hear this because who are they to hear? Well, Taylor Swift, or, you know, where are the male singers that are going to inspire, you know, teenage boys or whatever. So right now, this AI and the skill level that the computer is presenting to the next generation, humans are great at mimicking and reproducing. So I think the next level will be this unbelievable singers and guitar players because they almost got inspired by AI.
Interesting.
I could see that. That's how I see AI as well. I see it taking certain things over, but so like in a workplace, I think things will get AI'd, but they're just going to have humans do stuff as well because they just want to make money, right? The AI is going to make money, and so are the humans, and they're going to have different jobs, right? So the AI in the music industry is going to do the same thing. It's going to sort of, just like Matt's saying, it's going to show a path to a new area that's never been explored, and then once everybody starts exploring that area, that's when things blow up and become a bubble. Like grunge is a bubble. Boy bands were a bubble. This sort of modern country, I think it's near the end of its bubble, right?
I think so too.
It's going to be a big turnover.
Yeah, if you go back to the fizzle out of Leaderhouse, it was almost like, to a certain degree, the fizzle out of music of that kind in general, because then we entered a phase where you can't really specify what the hell is going on in the early 2000s or the teens. Like, to this day, I can't really tell you a band besides like legacy bands like Foo Fighters or whatever. But anecdotally, at the piano bar that I play in and take requests, no one requests anything from the past 20 years.
Wow.
That's very
it's all
true.
Classic rock, 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s.
That's true.
The odd Chappell Roan, but
yeah, no Bon Iver, no Queens of the Stone Age, no.
Not even Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, how old are your kids?
Oh, here we go. 16, 14, 11, and 7.
Okay, so what are they listening to? Because my two daughters are listening to very specific types of music. What are they listening to? Like, what's attracting them?
I am so like proud and blown away. My kids listen to like the Eagles and
What? Okay.
like 70s rock. That's my 14-year-old. He's been playing guitar. So I haven't pushed music on any of my kids. I wanted them to come to it on their own, and like and when they feel they want to learn something from me, I'm like, yeah, come on, we'll work it out. Musically, like, so my 16-year-old, I was talking about Radiohead one day, and I was talking about, I have like some obscure EPs, and he's like, oh, I've heard it all. I'm like, what? You've heard all the obscure Radiohead? He's like, yeah, I love it. I love Radiohead. I love it all. He literally has a playlist with 1,000 different songs on it because he just likes everything. Like it's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, there's no, like when they were maybe, 6, 7, 8, 9, they were listening to like mumble rap and hardcore rap.
Uh,
But it didn't
okay.
take very long for them to like just get absolutely bored with it and move to this old I don't know, singer-songwriter, like bands in my estimation that will last. Like Matt's saying, people request songs from 60s, 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
early 90s, right?
Yep.
It's still hitting with the kids. Like it hits with my kids. They get it. They listen to it all the time. Even like T-Rex and like obscure 70s bands, they're just all into them. It's amazing. And I
I'm
had
just
nothing to do with it. Nothing, absolutely
oh,
nothing to
see,
do
I'm a horrible dad. I'm always pushing my
with it.
music onto my kids because
Yeah.
I want them because I'm a musician. Like I'm a musician first. My mom was like was a pretty famous singer in the late 60s, early 70s. My dad's always been in bands. He's performed a million times live. All of my uncles and aunts, like everyone was musical in my family and everybody played instruments, like real
Mhm.
instruments, not, and I really I really want them to appreciate what goes into making a song, not I'm going to go talk to my producer. My producer's going to lay the beat and then play something really like simple
Yeah.
on keyboard, and that's it. Like I want them to hear, and my wife and I are like kind of training them to like, okay, listen, do you hear that? That's the bass, and they play instruments, but
Yeah.
sometimes they can't pick out the instruments in a song because anything new is
It's all mixed together. They don't stand out as much as they used to.
like it feels like, and this is what my wife and I keep saying is like it feels like the vocal is written with the lyrics and the music is a secondary thought. Like the music isn't there. It's just the vocal and the singing and the words and everything
Yeah.
else is just it's just there as like frosting or whatever. Like the
It
cake
all
is
has the same weight.
yeah,
Like it has the same sonic weight to it. So
but
they'll mash 5 guitar tracks together, but they'll all have to be under the same compression. They all have to like jive with each other. Where in the past you'd have someone like, Jimmy Page, they're going to double his guitar and crank it in the mix as its own like, feature thing, right? Where now everything's so mixed together and so sonically um trying not to mess up the layers and layers of vocals. There's layers and layers of vocals on things now, right?
yeah. And that's the I find like in the 70s, 60s, whatever, the guitar was its own instrument, but now the vocal is doing the guitar part or whatever. Like it's almost like an a cappella thing
Yeah.
where everything I don't know. Like I'm just so I just opened up Abby's. Abby's is my oldest. She's the piano player. So she's
Yeah.
got like uh Shawn Mendes, Billie Eilish, Ava Max is like a big one, Sabrina Carpenter, my Miley Cyrus, but there's a few interesting things like a Sia. Sia's interesting. I find she
Yeah.
writes interesting music, or Tones and very, very interesting. But like Dua Lipa's just kind of like, I don't know. But I'm trying to listen to this and then listen to this and then,
Yeah.
let me know, do you hear the difference? And I don't know. Maybe I'm just old man shouting in the
No,
clouds or something,
I think
but
there's strength though in some of these new things. Like Billie Eilish has shown everybody that you can sing so soft into a mic and do it at home, and you don't have to yell. You don't
mhm,
have to be like everybody in the 70s yelled into their mic. Like
very
they
true.
did. Like it's all chest voice, all huge, big, right? Where like Billie Eilish is just so intimate. It's so exciting that people could just do this at home now, right? So there
Yeah.
are strengths in it, to say like, oh, do you realize these people do this? And in the past, they had to like, it was really, you had to be a performer first, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to sign you because wow, your
Yeah.
performance, right?
Yeah. Very true. Did any of those names like did anybody go, I don't know who any of these people are, or did you guys know?
No, I know them all. My kids don't listen to them though. My
What
kids,
about
like,
you,
if I
Matt?
go even to their like hockey room, they're like cranking Layla, like, yeah. My son plays Layla. He plays Under the Bridge. Um, just like 70s stuff. And I have nothing to do with it. Nothing.
What about you, Matt? What's your take on like the current wave of pop?
You know, to tell you the truth, I'm so disconnected from anything that is kind of fed to you by that legacy in like industry, whether it's the radio or TV or movies. Like I don't watch movies, I don't watch TV shows, so I don't get that aspect of the music. So it really is like just I go down YouTube wormholes with music. I'll just
Sure.
watch live. I'm pretty infatuated these days with live singing because I feel like it's a dying art. And like most of the time, I'm searching for flawed performances because then I know it's actually real. Whereas a lot of the if you go on YouTube, you'll see like concerts, and if the singer's unbelievably perfect, it's not real live singing. You know, you can in post, you can auto tune, you can even sing live with auto tune, right? So there's that. But I'm just always looking for really amazing live singers. And back to OK Computer, like I didn't push Radiohead on Duke, my son, whatsoever. You know, I did push Billy Joel and certain like piano songs on him, but for some reason he just kept on coming back to Paranoid Android.
Really?
Yeah, and he always would like you know in their little playlists they kind of get bored, move on, but he'd always come back to Paranoid Android, and I was like, this was about a month ago. I'm like, hey, maybe we should buy the CD of OK Computer. Right. And I haven't bought a CD in 30 years. Right. So I go on Amazon, I buy a CD. So now he goes to bed with Paranoid Android. So he's like,
no way.
Put a Paranoid Android? Then it's amazing.
Yeah. I have a question as a dad. It's both of your dads. Have you ever used your own music to lullaby your kids to sleep?
Oh, no. Matt, no, I haven't.
No. Well, I wrote the lullaby Sleepyhead.
Well, yeah. Okay, yeah.
but
no.
Would
you ever do a Leaderhouse? Take the elephant song.
No.
And lullaby it or something.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. My son actually knows about Leaderhouse. Like he's heard it. He's heard it enough, and he'll always reference like, of course, Van der Veen. He always comes back to Van der. He'll listen to that every now and then.
Yeah,
like that particular song, Van der Veen.
Yeah, and part of piano lessons because of my artistic ego. Instead of teaching him Billy Joel songs, I go, okay, now you're going to learn Ordinary Life. Now you're going to learn FOMO in at the top. So he knows a lot of my original.
Okay,
songs.
that's good. That's good.
Oh my God,
I thought it was just me because like my wife's like, isn't that your song from like when you were in that band Dome? I'm like, yeah. Isn't that like a heavy metal song? I said, yeah. I don't know if the lyrics are appropriate. I don't think you should be. But now Abby still brings it up. Like I would sing it to her when she was 6 months old and every once in a while, Dad, can you sing that Dome song for me? Like just sing me to sleep. I had a bad day. I just want you to sing me to sleep. So now like my brother and I were like do we got to redo some of those songs as lullabies and release like a heavy metal, but an acoustic album or something. But I don't know. That was like, as a dad, I was like, I know I forced that crap on my kids, my stuff on my kids, but now like Abby's asking for it. And it's like, okay, all right, take that.
Well, because they're going to be making fun of you when they're older. They're going to be. Remember, Dad used to always play his originals.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty good noodler on the guitar, so like if there's lullaby stuff, I'll just like drop D and then just hang in B minor for like 20 minutes, right? And that I can put you to sleep with that, no problem.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when's Duke's next album coming out, or is there plans? Or
the weird part about Duke and music is that because he started playing piano like when he was like 6 months old, just on my lap, right? He thinks it's very normal that everyone has to play piano. So it wasn't until I got him to open up at the piano bar about a month ago or a little bit.
Oh, wow.
And he realized that, there's another level to playing music, and it's in front of people and them reacting to what you did, because he's just playing in my living room, and I'm like, well, great, I like your singing there, blah, 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 right? But when he actually played in front of people, and I think that changed you could see it in his eyes, it's like, oh shit, this is something bigger than, what dad makes me do.
Yeah.
But it still won't play a part in his life until he gets the girl with the song. Yeah. That's the genesis of every musician, right? There's no significance in it for him.
Hilarious.
There was one time that one of my bands, we were playing live, and my wife was in the audience, and I was on stage like, hey, I'm up here, I'm singing, and she's there with her sister and my brother-in-law, and they're all supporting our band and everything. And then I have a song that it was for her basically, and I would go, this one goes out to the pretty lady in the back or whatever. Totally didn't hear me say anything. Totally ignored me, and the whole crowd's looking at her, and she's having a conversation with her sister, ignoring the whole thing. I've never done a call out ever again.
Oh no!
Did anything like this happen before to you, either one of you, where you dedicated it?
I'll take it even one step further. Every girlfriend I ever had, I banned them from shows. They weren't allowed to come.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's too intimate.
It was just a nightmare, right? Like, so it's a two-edged sword. So they're either wondering who everybody is and what are you doing here, and is there any girls watching you, or they go the opposite way and they like not listening at all, right? And they're talking in the corner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ban them.
I should have done that. I'm sure that would have been much better. There was because I don't know, because there's also at shows there's obnoxious people in the front that have had too much to drink, and there's always something that's going to happen. But anyway, I think I'm going to cap it off there. I think I'm going to go do the gingerbread house thing. If you guys are good, I think we covered a lot of ground.
Absolutely.
Where can we find either one of you online? What's the best places to go?
Well, I do a live piano bar every Friday, Saturday. It's the biggest and the best live dueling piano in the entire world, and it's on YouTube. Piano Matty B. All requests, you can actually tune in and request. And strangely enough, we do get a lot of Leaderhouse requests all the time. Nice. So I've played $300 song there, or Vanderveen a ton of times, and even some volume songs I've done there.
Oh, nice. I've watched a few. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty cool. What about you, Dustin?
So I'm going to be coming up with something hopefully in the next year and a half. I've actually been getting my chops back up for the last 5 years to a level where I think it's like, pretty much ready. And I've been singing a lot. I'm taking lessons too. So I have a lot of just kind of weird songs. And I'm actually trying out for a few bands to sing in, and the guitar will end up in it. But yeah, we'll see. I'm a pretty private guy. I don't have any socials. I used to be a photojournalist. Even that stuff's offline. Like, I'm just kind of a private guy in that sense. And I'm one of those guys that's like hide in the basement till you can like just tell. I'm practical, so I've been putting out songs to people, and I'm waiting for a certain reaction. Like, I don't want to just hear like, oh yeah, that's neat. Oh, you sound like this or that. I want to hear like, oh shit, that's really good. You have to like put that out. And I've had a couple of those lately, those kind of reactions. So I'm almost there.
Well, I don't want to burst your bubble here, Dustin, but in my entire life of writing songs and showing them to people, no one has ever said, that's the one, you got to put it out.
Right. That's a very good point. My wife hates everything I've written, so,
Yeah. But I mean, the reaction to Leaderhouse was never like, in the past, it was never like, ooh, I don't know you guys. It was always like, holy shit, what was that? Like,
that's true, yeah.
Sent them into another state of mind, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what you're trying to do ultimately. It's almost like being a hypnotist. You're like, did I hypnotize you? Did I and you're like, cluck like a chicken. And if they don't cluck, then you're not there yet, right?
Then do it.
Right,
basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you guys coming on. It's been a long time coming, and I probably should have just reached out and asked you guys sooner. But
all good.
Dustin
Yeah.
reached out to
Hey,
me out of the blue.
you know what? I listened to your podcast, and you genuinely loved it so much that I was like, I have to do this for this guy, because this is the reason we did it. And even 20 years later, to hear you say like it's your favorite album and you practice singing to it, and it's like it's a part of your life. So it's my pleasure to be on your show. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, he sent me the link, and
Oh, no.
he
It's a little embarrassing.
every day he'd be like,
Not
"Have
at
you
all.
listened to it?" I'd be like, "I just," because I only listen to things in the car, right? So like if I had a
Sure.
30-minute car ride, I'm like, I'm gonna. So it was a week before I listened to it, and then I was like, "Oh, this is cool. It's a nice little trip down memory lane." So thanks for having me as well.
Yeah, no, it was good. That was good. We'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna hit the off recording button, and then
For
we'll
sure.
do some particular stuff after that. But tune in next week for the next episode of the Strong Geek and Fast Ride podcast.